Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Halbkast mit Tom Reimann und David Bell.
In sync,
Smooth,
like the
like
band.
butter. I like
singing
mine
about
better.
Applebee's. Oh no, Chili's.
Did they do?
No, they did Chili's. They sang the baby back ribs song.
They
Well, they were
like the original?
burying Joey Fatone in the sand.
Did they write it?
No. They sang a rendition of it.
Who wrote it?
Beethoven?
Okay.
I've never been in an Applebee's.
I have a good Applebee's story.
Yeah.
Should I tell mine? Me and my father, who neither of us eat meat, went into an Applebee's, sat down, looked at the menu. The server got us like some iced teas. We looked at the menu and both looked at each other and said, "I can't eat a single fucking thing in here." And we turned to the server and was like, "We're both vegetarians." And she's like, "Oh, all right. Well, the iced teas are on me." And we left, and then the manager chased us out, and they're like, and was like, "What happened? I saw you guys left." And we just said, "We're vegetarians." He said, "Oh, yeah. Have a good day." Like they just were so defeated. They didn't even try to accommodate us.
No.
This is not for you.
They gave you a
they were
plate
very
of French
polite.
fries.
But they were just like, "Got it. Okay, yeah."
Well,
no,
at least
not a
they're
single.
nice
Even
about
their salads had chicken in it. Like they didn't have a single thing. It was very fun.
Let's hear it for the servers and good people
They
who
were
work
chill.
at Applebee's.
Yeah, they were chill people. We went over to Friendly's, which was better for us.
Yeah. Good story.
Yeah.
Love Friendly's.
You can get ice cream at Friendly's.
You can get all sorts of shit at Friendly's.
All sorts of bacteria, too.
I
Yeah.
could suck
Just-
down an ice cream right now.
Just
So
Well, you
suck,
get a
fucking
cone
hot.
head.
suck down
You ever get
some
a cone head?
bacteria ice cream.
Ever get a cone head at Friendly's?
No. I've never been
Ah,
to
it's the-
Friendly's either.
Sounds like
Oh,
Dave. That sounds like
fuck.
it sounds like a sex act.
Has either of you never been to Friendly's?
No, I've been to Friendly's. Yeah.
Okay, they're like better Waffle Houses, and I know that's going to offend some people. I don't care. I'm not PC. I'm going to offend you guys. I'm going to shock you guys.
All right.
It's Friendly's it's where it's at.
You're such
Dave,
a
you're gonna
hero,
go on your
Dave.
canceled stand-up tour after this.
Hell yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
All
You're gonna
Friendly's
go on your
stuff.
Adam
Just a-
Carolla tour.
Just
I'm going to go on this
the
podcast.
photo of you with duct tape on your mouth. So
Really going to bat for subpar chicken salads.
Yeah. I love
Just-
Friendly's.
thing
I think I
about
had
America,
the
man.
gut rottenest salad there I've ever had in my life.
Oh, you're not you shouldn't get a salad at a
I had
Friendly's.
no
What
idea
the
what a
fuck?
Friendly's was. I
No,
don't-
they're basically like a diner but a chain. So you want a grilled cheese, you want a burger, you want fries. That's it. And ice cream. But a salad. Getting a salad at a Friendly's is like getting a salad at a diner, right?
Yeah.
You're going to get a shit salad.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
It's,
Yeah.
it's like getting a salad at a Friendly's.
Yeah. The Friendly's in
Botulism's
my
one of the
town.
ingredients.
Yeah.
The Friendly's in my town was awesome. It used to be a mortuary, so I had a friend who worked there, and he showed me the basement where they get all the ice cream, and there were blood gutters in the basement.
Oh,
It was sweet.
Dave, I have some news for you. It didn't used to be a mortuary.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, they're Sweeney Todding those hamburgers.
It's a
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
feature, not a bug.
God, I want Friendly's right now.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Well, another episode of STRIKEcast!
STRIKEcast.
STRIKEcast, the show where we get hyped about stuff and things. That's not right. I'm your co-host, Tom Ryman.
I'm the other one, David Bell.
I'm here as well as the fabled guest, Abe Epperson.
Abe.
Fabled.
How are you, Abe?
I'm good. I'm so hype to be here. It's been a bit, and I'm glad to be back, baby.
And how strike are you to be here?
I am so strike right now.
So strike. That's what I like to hear.
I'm just straight up an X right now.
Yeah. Big X. Straight edge. Straight edge.
So fucking edgy.
Yeah. We are. We explained this last time, and I saw a little confusion in comments. We're not beholden to shit, for the record. Meaning that, like, we're still doing reviews of movies.
Yeah.
Because what we do counts as journalism, and right now, they didn't ask journalists to do shit. We just thought it'd be fun to do a STRIKEcast because it seemed good to not necessarily support major
studio
trailers
right
coming
now.
out by like these shitty ass
why give them
studios.
free publicity, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's the right choice. I commend you guys for doing it, even though you're, frankly, no one matter. No, you don't matter.
No,
we don't matter
at all.
We're not
at all.
Mr. Beast.
Now you can sleep well tonight. Yeah, you're not Mr. Beast, and that's one of the things that when I think of both of you, I'm like, it's such a shame
that we're not Mr. Beast.
Dave never misses an opportunity to remind me that we're not Mr. Beast.
I know. I have a poster of Mr. Beast on my wall, and I look at it every morning. That's where I'm heading. That's my goal, to be Mr. Beast.
Like Homer Hickam in October Sky, but instead of rockets, it's Mr. Beast.
Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh, what is that guy's deal? What is he?
What?
What's he up to?
Mr. Beast?
Yeah.
Who the fuck knows, man?
I don't know, man.
He's just a fucking rich guy who gamed the system.
Solving some kind of mystery, I hope.
He cured the blind.
That's what I would do if I had all kinds of money.
Racism.
I'd solve mysteries all day long.
Yeah.
Abe, you wanna plug anything? Do you got stuff going on? What do you got going on?
Well, some of y'all might know the name Small Beans, and that's right. I'm one of the Small Beans, along with my good friends Michael Swaim and Adam Ganzer. We are Small Beans, and you can find us at patreon.com/smallbeans. We do podcasts with you two, including Spiel Boys and Next Futurama, Star Trek Next Futurama. And Small Beans does the same stuff. We're like sister networks, I guess, is a good way of saying it. And check us out if you want more content for when you go to sleep at night, because I hear a lot of you guys listen to our podcast while you sleep, which is not creepy at all. You fucking weirdos.
I put on podcasts to go to sleep. It's a common thing.
It's so fucking weird.
Small Beans that's a reference to testicles, right?
Yeah, it's a reference to what we call our testicles.
Right. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Just tiny little beans.
Just tiny little beans.
Just wee little beans.
Getting more swole by the day.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're like small by like testicle standards. They're just small in the sense of the world around us is so big.
It's a relative game, yeah. But as is known of the testicle, the humble testicle, it gets bigger as time goes on.
Yeah. You want to be swollen beans, yeah.
Little known fact about the testicle, it's a legume.
Yes, actually. And you can eat them.
Yeah, it goes great in salads.
So I say to you all, eat my small beans.
Yeah, everybody check them out if you haven't already. I feel like most of you have, but if you haven't already, you should check them out.
Thank you.
They're a lot of fun. I listen to them while going to sleep, in the shower. Mostly in the shower.
Yeah.
Usually nude.
Most of my compromising moments day to day are done to a soundtrack of Small Beans.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about you guys listening to podcasts that's like dirty somehow. It's dirty somehow.
It is.
Yeah.
That's what I like about
Confirmed.
it. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Well, we got some trailers, some piping hot brand new trailers, but first we got some producers to thank.
Wow, we sure do, Dave.
Let's dive into that. Big thank you to @NerdNumbers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to Zero Charisma.
Thank you.
Thank you to Aaron Burr, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you to AJ.
Thank you.
Thank you to Andrew Howe, Deck the Halls with Blood.
Thank you.
Thank you to Asking Seven.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to Bob Grenville. Thank you to Bootler Boodleson.
Thank you. Let me swoop in here. Thank you to Brian, who Tom knows.
Thank
you to Brockway Loves the Meat Millie.
Thank
you to Burrito. I want you to drink water, hit the gym, and do the ska, because they loves y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you to Chester's Prophet.
Thanks.
Thank you to Christopher Robert Sparks, Esquire.
Thank you.
Thank you to Dan Hackroyd.
Thank you.
Thank you to Davey, the ghost of East Las Vegas, Francis. And thank you to David Knife Boot Henson. Knife Boot.
All right. So last week we did the hottest movies of 1993. Should we just dive into this and see if people can pick up on what era we're doing? It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy once they get into it, right?
I mean, I think for most people it'll have to be a Google search, but let's see if you
Let's
can
give it a shot.
Pick up these breadcrumbs, baby.
Yeah.
All right. Our first trailer is for Lara Croft Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life. Yeah. This is the long-awaited sequel to the first Tomb Raider, right?
And this
the first one.
Yeah. This is the first of many trailers on today's episode that features a frenetic techno soundtrack.
Oh, yeah. The hubris of this era. In general,
truly,
the 2000s, early 2000s.
That's the word that kept exploding in my brain watching these.
It's because the beauty of the 2000s specifically is that we thought we had nailed CGI. We were like, we are officially the height of CGI.
We thought the future was here and that we were it.
Yeah, and so they shove CGI in everything. Like, isn't it beautiful and perfect and photorealistic? To which 5 years later said, no, it wasn't. And so
sometimes not even that long.
Yeah, but this, I don't know. This is Gerard Butler as the Bond girl. Daniel Craig was the Bond girl in the first one, and I think they should have made so many more of these. Personally,
yeah, I think this was a victim of the time. It's really apparent in this trailer. I know we've watched this before on movie night, but most of it fled my brain. It's so early aughts action in all of the not good ways. Like
a lot of these on here has like that cheesy fucking action movie vibe.
Heavy overloaded CGI, these goofball it's
everything looks cartoony.
Everything looks like a
everything's
cartoon and weightless, and
everything looks like Austin Powers for some reason. Like it's all like this weird futuristic like
right. It's all those movies that were made in the wake of The Matrix.
Yeah, but there's something like plastic about them all. Everything looks cheap. Every prop is cheap. I love it.
I gotta ask you guys a question.
Yeah.
Campy Tomb Raider or gritty Tomb Raider?
Not
as movies necessarily, but just as concepts.
I prefer gritty because I like the rebooted video game series.
I was about to say we have better stuff from gritty. The video games and the movie, I would say, is probably better. That said, I really like the appeal of campy.
There's a place
these
for
movies. Yeah, these movies, I don't mind for their campiness. I thought
if they were
a lot
better,
of fun.
if they were like Tim Burton's Batman, good.
Right.
I think I kind of like I like campy Tomb Raider because I just don't give a fuck about rich people.
The problem with gritty Tomb Raider is that Tomb Raider is fundamentally also silly, right? There's like magic and shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as silly as Indiana Jones, which is what I think.
That's true.
I think for me, that's kind of what the Angelina Jolie ones were missing. They went
see that.
hard into just early aughts action movie, just corny as shit goofball action movie. And it should have been a corny as shit treasure hunting movie.
It's it's a product of its time again, where it's like the action is also very like floaty because of the wire stunt shit.
It's all weightless, yeah.
But even this doesn't have wire stunts. But I remember like that first one, they're like running up the side of that pyramid at the end. There's like weird shit that like it reminds me of like the Triple X movies, which those are done. Those somehow get away with it. I think it's because they're so stupid. It's not like the Fast and Furious movies are any different now, right? Where it's that version of action where there's no stakes because everything is so cartoony. I guess it's just quaint after the fact. Like this feels fun after the fact, Although whenever we sit down and watch these movies, they always tend out
They're
to
very
be like a
boring.
little more boring.
They're very
Yeah,
boring.
because there's much more scenes that are like, oh, it's scenes about you and your butler having like conversations. I don't give a fuck.
Right, and the humor is always so like toothless.
Yeah.
And like again, cartoony. And so it's I don't know.
I think the Fast and the Furious has the appeal of all of its characters. Like it's such an ensemble for the most part.
Right.
But it is the same. I just think Fast and Furious is in the same way that XXX does, intentionally or not, is more earnestly corny. So it's like, whereas in these movies, they're still treating it like it's cool.
Right, but that's part of what I like because it's doesn't know it's lame.
Yeah.
and
I'm
appreciate
not sure
that.
if XXX or Fast and Furious does either. I'm just saying
That's
it's
true.
just more earnestly corny.
XXX certainly doesn't. That's the best part. Whenever
Yeah.
he introduces Sherlock Holmes,
Right.
whenever they're like, "Look, he's also smart."
You're in the
It's like,
Xander
Jesus
zone.
fucking Christ.
Where
The Xander zone.
Yeah.
And then,
Jumps a Ferrari off a bridge, and then the next scene he's hanging out with Tony Hawk.
and
I
then
think
I
the
love
thing-
there's that one part of the movie in XXX where it's clear that Vin Diesel decided that he was like, this jacket is the only jacket I'll wear for the rest of the film.
Oh yeah.
because
his-
they even
his
try to-
gigantic barbarian coat.
They try
Right.
to give him another thing to wear, and he like, no, I'm gonna put the jacket
It's
back
like a
on.
Yeah.
whale
The
skin
third-
coat.
The third act should have been him battling heat stroke in that fucking thing. It would have been amazing. We just passed out.
He's just beat red.
He's just scared. This is not the biome for that jacket, XXX.
Nah, it's the Xander zone.
It's a Xander zone. It's the best jacket in the world.
Oh shit!
Just like I'm the
But-
best hacker,
Eyelids are purple.
extreme sports spy. I
Great
fucking love
movie.
it. Yeah.
I love that movie. I wish, like, if anything, Tomb Raider, this should have leaned into that more.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not enough awesome, I guess. There's some awesome. Don't get me wrong. She
There's-
fights a robot in the first one.
There is-
She fights a training robot.
There is some awesome in these. It's just they're more boring than not, and because it was trying to be just sort of face value cool, it just didn't age as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
also really like, and these movies did it, and then Haywire did it, the Bond girl exchange system
Yes.
that these movies had,
Yeah.
where they'd get like action guys and make them like the slutty Bond girls.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that a lot, and I wish more movies would
One
do
and
that, where
done.
they're just like swapping them.
Yeah.
I want Vin Diesel. I want Vin Diesel doing a strip
Yeah.
dance
Just
for a
Angelina-
lady
This is-
triple X.
Remember, this is before
Casino Royale.
before Casino Royale, and also it's before 300. So I don't think either of
Right.
these guys were action guys yet. They were just kind of like
No.
they were just like babes. So they just
Yeah,
hired
They
babes.
were babes.
Just
Yeah.
babes. Just
Yeah,
babes.
just
baby.
babes.
I love it.
It's great.
Yeah. Just hit it and quit it, Angelina Jolie.
Hit it and quit it.
It literally in this one is Gerard dies, right? Or is Daniel Craig die?
I forget. They all kind of die.
They all blend
I remember she like saves Daniel. I think she saves Daniel Craig. The bad guy like stabs him, and she has to like reverse time. Is that in this one or the other one? This one I thought
Genuinely
had like the
don't
room.
remember.
I think this one had like the room where it's like the labyrinth room where there's no gravity and up is down and
Oh
and
Christ,
like and
man!
then there's like
you
gears.
could be making that up. I don't remember.
Yeah.
One of these hunks dies, and I don't remember which
These
one.
Yeah,
Movies,
these blur
they're not-
together.
Yeah, these aren't as. Again, these have a lot to offer. I think they just needed to be like 30% more awesome,
More over the top,
And I think they
yeah.
would have
Which is funny to say from this because this movie is pretty fucking over the top. It's just,
Yeah,
I think it's just not. It's a delicate balance. It's a fine line. It's like too. Yeah, I think I've
Yeah.
repeated it to death. It's too thinking it's cool, and it should be a little bit more like corny.
right.
Yeah. I just wanted to point out Jan de Bont directed, baby.
He sure did.
Oh yeah.
For people who don't
That's pretty
know.
cool.
Cinematographer of Die Hard and Cujo. Director of
Director of Speed.
Yeah,
Directed this
can't
movie.
lose.
Can't lose.
Speaking of can't lose, our next trailer is for Sea Biscuit.
That's not true and
I-
you know it. Seabiscuit can lose. That's the whole point.
Yeah. Well, I've never actually seen this movie.
Me either.
Yeah, Do you guys get the same vibe? Because this movie, like Cider House Rules, Bagger Vance, this whole era of like 2000s period films, they never.
Bagger Vance, dude.
Is that a period film?
It is. It's a real piece of shit. Like
I haven't seen it.
That's like a legendarily bad film.
Yeah, it's a
but
rough
they all have that thing where they don't. They don't look convincing as period pieces. I think again, it's part of for me the early 2000s look the same way. Whenever a character holds like we're gonna get to some next ones where like whenever there's a gizmo, it reminds me of like 70s camp where like the sci-fi tech is always like big blinking lights on this big hunk of plastic and it looks too clean. Similarly, like the period piece of the early 2000s looked too campy to me. And it's hard to put my finger on it. It's like the costumes look too clean. The environment just I don't know. I wish I could.
I think it was influenced by maybe Spielberg, like maybe Private Ryan, because I seem to remember it really getting solidified around like Cinderella Man. In like 2003 and 2004, although this movie Seabiscuit is before that, but it is sort of it is kind of like this era of like period films sort of had that kind of desaturated look almost.
Right, they have the same tinge on them.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it, where they all look like. When I look at them, I don't think the era they're depicting.
Like,
I think 2003.
Right, it's just
that's
what
pops into my
we
head.
all decided that this is what movies in the Great Depression. This is what the Great Depression looked like, and like we kind of stuck with that for about a decade. I feel like
it's well, first off, this is actually secretly an intervention, Dave. We knew you were going to say that about how it's too clean, and we know you have a thing for dirty horses. It has to stop. It's getting in the way of your work.
Look,
it's true.
There's nothing wrong with a dirty horse.
Actually,
this is a real shit horse. But go on.
It's a real shit
It's a real
horse.
fucking filthy horse.
Biscuit.
Should have called him Flea Biscuit.
Yeah.
The reason I feel like we all are feeling the way we feel about this era of films and depicting period pieces is that they got heavily influenced in the early 2000s and kind of awkward in the same way that you were speaking about CG, in my opinion, earlier, by the digital intermediate, which was popularized in 2000 by Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, where there was a tinge to the whole movie, and the way in which they accomplished it is by doing a telecine, which means that they take the film and they actually just print it right onto, or they throw a sensor into it and they turn it into a digital file that they can then color grade that after. So because of that, people were like, oh, there's so much control of the color space now. We can make things feel, and that's why you get things like Sin City. That's why you get things like this, where they're just like amping it to the max, super saturating eras that we usually were not saturating. We were like in production design muting everything because of like the old sepia tones, you know.
Color correction, like low key, did a terrible thing.
Yeah,
I always thought, because it's the equivalent of, you know, when you get your first camera and it has like the sepia filter, and then you start filming everything, and that's what Hollywood did. They essentially did the exact same thing. Yeah, exactly. Every fucking movie, including movies now, like they all get color corrected to be the same.
So you feel some of the production design being, you know, like that wood is, because that wood was bought yesterday at Home Depot. It's not like old wood, you know, like so I don't know.
We didn't pull this up from Herbert Hoover's house.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like, and that's never changed. That's always been true about making movies, period pieces. But it's you see it more because they're just like, oh, and look at all the color. Oh, we can make. Oh, fuck, and that's what everyone was doing at this time.
Oh, bro, do you see this color, bro?
You see this color,
bro?
Oh, Seabiscuit.
Fucking Seabiscuit.
Has anybody seen this movie?
No, nobody has
seen
Seabiscuit.
Abe's seen it.
Yeah.
Why do I want to care about a racehorse winning? That's the other thing.
Oh,
so
Dave, come on, man.
I've spent I've spent a lot
you
of time.
understand storytelling and how stakes work.
You know how horses are.
I really don't. So here's the thing. We've all been to the Santa Anita Park and gambled. We've all done it.
We've all bet on the ponies. That's right.
Me and Tom, we were there together.
Yeah, we had a fine pony day.
I've been there several times until they started making the news for just being
For
a
killing
murder
all the
factory
horses.
for the horses.
Yeah, that ended our fun Saturday excursions.
Yes, but the point of a horse race, and I mean, I'm genuinely asking this question because I do remember when we went to the track, it was degenerate gamblers and then horse people, which was a hilarious combination. So I get that there are horse people there who want to pet the horses and like the horses and so on. But I guess what it is I always thought horse racing was a gambling thing first, more than anything else.
Not for the people
children
who own and race the horses, Dave.
Yeah.
So there are like,
of course there are.
There's
So
like
there is
prizes
also, like-
and stuff.
what? Who gives a shit about
Who gives
that
a shit?
stuff?
Look, you know how famously it's impossible to break a horse's spirit? You know, that's a
Right.
famous story we have with horses. That's why horse stories matter, dude. It's
Is
just a
this- so
story
is-
about a horse and a jockey inspiring each other to be better than horse or man.
So is this
they
like-
become a centaur?
So I'm just such a degenerate gambler that I didn't
You don't
think of
even
horse
see-
racing as like
As a sport, yes.
No.
I thought of it entirely as a gambling game.
Yeah.
Where
And
it's like,
Dave-
I don't care. Like the idea of a horse that keeps winning and they're like, oh, what an inspiring story. All I thought was like, no, that just makes the odds shitty.
Right,
Where
that-
it's
that
like,
would-
no, the horse always wins. So like, that's not fun for gambling.
It was
would-
a
yeah,
very
that would-
winning horse. It's true.
would be like you watching, I don't know, fucking Field of Dreams and being like, well, what is base? That doesn't matter who wins. It's
What's
just whatever the
romantic
spread
about-
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a line in this trailer and in the movie, I understand, that is delivered by Chris Cooper, America's disapproving dad.
Angry dad. America's
And he says-
disappointed stepfather.
And he says speaking of Seabiscuit, he just needs to know how to be a horse again.
Right.
That's all you need. How can you
I
not
guess
see
so.
it,
That's some
Dave?
folksy wisdom.
That's some
Seabiscuit,
folksy
by the
shit.
way,
We can all
is a
relate
very
to.
funny combination of words.
It is.
Yeah. A sea biscuit? That sounds like, I don't know, some little fucking crab or something. Doesn't sound like a horse.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like a
Also, they
horse.
don't have names like this anymore. They have like, dumb long names. I want an inspiring story about a dumb long name horse.
Yeah.
Like I want a movie called Daddy's Two Balls about a
Right.
horse
Two
called
balls.
Daddy's Two Balls.
The war horse.
It's a
Yeah.
champion horse named Ronald McDonald.
Yep.
Abe, should we watch Seabiscuit?
I mean, if you're into your heartstrings being tugged in a manufactured but like impressive way, but it is
Okay.
just a story about a horse. I mean, if you liked War Horse,
I didn't see War Horse.
do you like
Surprisingly,
Hidalgo? Do you
I
like
don't keep
horse
up-
movies?
Surprisingly, I don't keep up with horse fiction. Like not nearly as much as you'd expect me to.
Isn't this horse fact?
Yeah,
what?
this is horse.
This is horse fact.
This
It's
is
a real horse.
Oh,
Dave.
I mean, yeah, I guess it is horse fact. It's a horse bio, a
It's not
bio
some-
horse pick.
fucking random horse they made up. It's a real fucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it weird?
It's a
Do you
real
think it's weird that the
goddamn
horse
horse.
never knew that there's a movie made of it? That horse
Yeah,
will
the
never
horse
know that.
Doesn't understand movies, Dave.
It doesn't
You
under-
talk
it
about
doesn't understand
horses all
any
the
of it.
time. How do you not know simple things about horses?
Is that wild though? This horse never knew it was famous.
It is wild that any animal doesn't know that they're in a movie. It's true.
I mean, Abraham
Yeah.
Lincoln never knew we made a movie about him
Right.
either.
Yeah. Yeah, but he could have. He probably was like, "There'll be books and stuff." Like horses don't know they'll be famous.
Yeah.
and like you pointed out, while making movies, horses don't know what we're doing, which is always very funny to me because the horses are like, "The fuck is happening?"
I am
Like,
always
what are they doing?
I
to
like the
us?
idea.
Why do they want this?
They do the race, and Seabiscuit wins, and he crosses the finish line, which he understands is like the destination because that's what he's been trained. But then hundreds of thousands of people start clapping and screaming and yelling. Like the horse must be thinking, like that was weird that everyone
Yeah.
did that all of a sudden.
People are fucking weird. Like horses must constantly just be like, yeah, sometimes they make us run in a circle. Sometimes they dress up in like as knights and like ride us. Sometimes they like have us perform in front of crowds. Like, what do they want from us? I don't like. What is the goal? What's the end goal here?
Well, it gives them a lot to talk about at their horse meetings.
Should we talk about this next trailer?
We
Yes,
probably
please.
should.
Spy Kids 3D, game over, motherfuckers.
All right, so
I
so far,
saw this in theaters.
just to quickly recap, it's been Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life, Seabiscuit, and now Spy Kids 3D, game over. Just in case anybody has figured it out. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw this in theaters with the 3D glasses. It was funny that it came with its own, like they had to like ship 3D glasses to the theaters for this one. And I remember it being terrible in 3D. I remember actually feeling nauseous watching this in 3D.
The trailer suggests that it's blue-red 3D, which is not a great theatrical experience.
It wasn't.
Okay.
So the wild thing was it wasn't. It was like the modern ones, but they were these paper glasses. I think it's because, for the reason I put in the notes, that we were in between fads, meaning that like we hadn't, like movie theaters today, I feel like they just have their own glasses in there, or they like mass manufacture them, the studios or whatever the fuck. Mm-hmm. But these were like paper ones, like they show, and they weren't the blue-red. But it was still an exhausting experience because it didn't feel like it was shot correctly for 3D. Like it was really like bombastic and the camera was moving really
like a Robert Rodriguez movie.
Yeah, it was like a roller coaster, I remember.
Yeah, because they're
Did you guys see this movie?
I didn't see it, but like all in this era, still, it's not like they're shooting with stereoscopic cameras. They still don't. It's a shading consideration they do in post after the fact. That was the technology at this point for mainstream.
Right.
So,
by the way, for everything on this list, I worked in a movie theater. I just realized. So I saw this shit for free. Every single one of these movies.
It all comes together.
Mm-hmm. Wait, Tom, did you not see it?
No, I've never seen any of the Spy Kids, actually.
I've never seen any of the Spy Kids, and I love that the plot of this one is video games are being hijacked by evil Stallone.
Yes.
And it's like, I love the idea that it's just like, well, what do kids like? Well, they hate parents and they love video games. Bingo, bango, baby.
Picturing that meeting.
Yeah.
They're wild movies in that, since it's Robert Rodriguez, it's all the same actors for the most part. I remember it was the first time I had seen Danny Trejo as like a fun kids movie character.
Yeah.
It was like, well, that doesn't feel right.
As anything other than terrifying.
Yeah. And then Antonio Banderas and now I hear they're rebooting it with fucking Shazam. Like
Zachary
that's
Levi?
as the Antonio Banderas role. That doesn't seem right, but
I mean,
whatever.
They're stupid kids. They'll watch whatever.
Yeah, they're shitty little kids. Mm-hmm. These are fun though. These like Steve Buscemi's in one, I believe. These are wild
really
fucking
get
movies.
Those kids into the theater,
Yeah. Again, that's what's so fun about them is they don't like the cast is Stallone's in this as the villain. Like when do you get to see Stallone as a villain? That's delightful.
It's all moms and dads making these movies, right? So it's just like, you're a dad. You want to be in this, Yeah. And I think worked out for him.
Most of these Spy Kids, because I think this was after Sin City, I want to say.
No.
So when it wasn't. Nope. Okay. Because I think this was when he started doing the thing where he's like, let's stick everything on a green screen.
Yeah.
And have a lot of fun with it.
I think this is the same year as Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
God, remember when it was quaint to do a whole movie on a green screen? Like Sky Captain, the World of Tomorrow came out. Yeah, we were all like, oh my God, I can't believe you can do that.
It's the future. It's the world of tomorrow.
See, we thought we were the future and that it had arrived.
We really were.
And then we realized it was hollow and there was nothing. It fell to ash in our mouth. And then, and now here we are.
Turned to ash and regret.
So I have this take that almost all my friends hate, which is that I'm a Wachowski fan. No matter what, I fucking love them. I talk about even their stinkers like Speed Racer, how they actually secretly rule.
Right.
But I have to say, I've never seen Spy Kid, and I watched the trailer, and I probably have never even seen a trailer for Spy Kids. Maybe. But Spy Kids 3D what Robert Rodriguez is clearly doing in this movie is he clearly did it first. He clearly did Speed Racer first.
He did.
And I now need to give credit to Robert Rodriguez. I didn't think that.
Wachowski saw Spy Kids
and they were
3D.
like, fuck.
Yeah.
We need to do what he's doing.
Spy Kids is also the biggest offender of, again, that like sci-fi 2000s look that's so fucking cheesy.
Oh, God.
This and Agent Cody Banks and Austin Powers. Yeah, they're all kind of part of the same beast. And our next thing, honestly, which we could talk about, unless you guys have other Spy Kids takes.
Let's do
it. Charlie's Angels Full Throttle.
Oh, man.
Another fucking sequel.
This trailer is an assault.
Yeah, Prodigy. I'm almost certain Prodigy was dated in 2003. I'm almost certain Prodigy was more like a 1999,
didn't Tomb Raider also
1998.
use
Yeah, I was going to
Prodigy?
say, this is the second on our list that has that song.
Amazing.
And also, Spy Kids used a techno song, too.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it was, but yeah.
The 2000s
It's all
was the era of
techno.
techno. Don't get me
Right.
wrong. It's just Prodigy. It feels like a little too
Right,
late.
specifically Prodigy. This is like 10 years removed, almost.
Yeah. And I love that the villain looks like how the villain looks. When they show, there's two villains, but the first guy, he shows up and he's like, I'm scary. And he's got a fucking faux hawk. He looks like a ska band, like an entire ska band merged into one person.
Right.
Yes.
He's
If a ska band was a Ninja Turtles villain.
Yeah, he's the
Yeah,
least
he's
scary
Ninja
villain.
Turtle.
I saw him and I just thought, like, well, I can take that guy. Like, I'll just push him over. I'll tell his parents about him.
Fucking
They'll come get him.
Foot Clan face thief.
I'll steal his horn.
Yeah.
I thought this trailer ruled because it's just two things. There's no real plot that we see. It's not necessary. It's just shots of jokes, and then it's just like, look at how hot everyone is.
I think Charlie's Angels, here's my hot take. I think it did what we were hoping Tomb Raider would do more, meaning that Charlie's Angels is kind of out of its mind in a very fun way. The action is bullshit, right? It's cartoony, but the whole movie is cartoony. The first one too, with fucking Bill Murray, and then the fact that Crispin Glover is a recurring character in this,
So weird.
like that's wild, and he plays a real Crispin Glover type.
Yeah, so weird.
Yeah. I think I also agree with Abe that I think this trailer kind of rules.
Yeah,
it doesn't give away too much, and we get enough. Like, we understand from the trailer that Demi Moore used to be an angel, and now she's a bad guy. And then it really is just shots of the angels being hot, and then all these crazy situations that I wonder why is Drew Barrymore in a wrestling ring? I need to see what that's about.
Also, super hot dudes, just like hot all around. Everybody's hot. And, there's
crap!
shows.
I forget his name. It's the guy that was in Love Actually and Westworld.
Yeah.
And 300. Isn't that him?
I think so.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's
Is he the bad guy in this movie?
Hot fucker. Yeah, it's crazy how this. Hey, is this also directed by McG?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, these are both
I think
productions.
the way to imbibe a McG film is the trailer. I've decided.
Yes.
Such good trailers.
Rodrigo
remembering-
Santoro is that actor's name. All right. Oh, and also, Justin Theroux is in here. Anyway.
Justin Theroux's in
playing
there.
an Irish villain.
Playing in a hot Irishman.
Yep.
It's great.
It's fucking great. Great fucking batshit movie.
What a gift from 2003.
Speaking of gifts, the next one is The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yes.
This movie, so am I cynical to say that I think this movie would have been a hit today? And that's not saying it's before its time, or it's just that I don't trust audiences anymore. Where this one you know what? I take that back because the Dark Universe failed. This is essentially the first Dark Universe attempt in a way,
I think it's not the quality of the movie that made this kind of land with a thud, because worse movies that have similar, if not identical, storylines have been huge hits.
Right.
I think it's the fact that what you were touching on there, I think, which is that this is a movie where it's IP technically, but it's based on all these classic literary characters, and people just don't give a shit.
Yeah, I do feel like there's an era somewhere where this would have been a hit. Like,
we haven't
maybe
seen it yet.
Like in
That's
the
why
2013
Peter Pan and Robin
or
Hood movies keep falling flat on their faces
That's
too.
true. When was the
last
Audiences don't care about this.
When was
Sorry,
the last big Frankenstein? You know,
I Frankenstein. Yeah,
and that was considered a flop.
that was a hit.
No, it wasn't.
Everybody loves that movie.
White hot hit.
No, you're right. I think that's what it comes down to. And this was a
Tom's right.
hilarious fucking movie. This was a movie that people were making fun of like
At the
before it
time,
even came
yeah.
out. Yeah, I remember people laughing at fucking. They shoved Tom Sawyer in here.
Yeah.
And of course, Sean Connery. This, I believe, caused him to retire this movie.
This is his final film. Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
'cause
his
he turned
final
down
live action
Gandalf.
film.
Yeah.
He turned down Gandalf because he didn't understand the script, what I heard. And then he read this script and he's like, I don't understand this either, but I guess the last thing was great. And he took this and then was just like, I better stop making movies.
Yeah.
So I guess that's it for me.
Yeah, isn't the story that he turned down Gandalf?
Gandalf, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
The other thing about this movie, I actually had the DVD of it because the practical effects in it are so good. It's surprisingly less CGI throughout than you'd think. Like Mr. Hyde is mostly a suit. A lot of the car chases and the city destructions are all like model work.
It's the big Hulk at the end that's CG.
Yeah, they do stuff like it. That's the thing. I think people think in their mind that this is like a CGI fest and like really shitty. But it's like that's like the one good thing about it is the effects are actually pretty cool. They did this whole big scene with the car chase and they used remote control cars just like Nolan did with Batman with The Dark Knight. So like it was kind of ahead of its time. It was doing like Nolan-esque shit.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's a shame the movie
We
sucked.
owe a lot to LXG.
We sure
We kind of do, yeah.
I love how hard this trailer tries to make LXG happen.
It's
I
so
know.
funny, man.
Again, it's very Dark Universe vibes where they're like really calling their shot.
They also
You remember
wanted
there's a sequel tease at the end too.
They
Yeah.
also wanted X's to be represented in the trailer as much as possible. Like at one point, he's like, "Their methods are extreme."
Yes.
They wanted as many X's. It's X. We went over this. It's the edgiest letter. It's the
It
edgiest
is.
really
It
letter.
is the edgiest letter.
There's some other. So they introduced Tom Sawyer, and his whole thing is he's a good shot. But then Quartermain is also a good shot. Right. So they have two good shots. Then they have the Invisible Man, and his thing is he can get invisible, which is cool except for like action scenes. But then they just have a vampire, and she just cleans up every
She
time.
just-
Right.
Yeah,
She's
destroys.
just everything. Yeah.
Yeah. But it is very funny how like you look
mean,
at this in the Avengers,
it's
right? They have a
X-Men.
Hulk.
Yeah.
It's more like X-Men, where there's just some that are just like, I'm way more powerful than you. It's
Right.
that Mitchell and Weblock sketch where it's BMX Bandit and Angel Summoner. It's just like, I could just summon a horde of angelic beings to solve all
Right.
this. He's like, no, I'm going to solve this riding my BMX.
Right. It's watching Super Friends too,
Yeah,
where
exactly.
Superman just has to sit there,
Yeah.
pretend like he can't solve it in 4 seconds.
Exactly. But yeah, I think Quartermain can shoot, and he's trying to tailor a boy.
Yes,
Like
he is.
that chin, like the actor who's basically just a chin in this movie.
Yeah, the chin guy. Yeah.
And it's
Shane
just like
West,
that's,
I think, is his name.
and that's what and you know, it's sad that his career didn't get started. It wasn't a great role. That's all it is, right?
Did this ended one career? Did it start any careers?
No.
No.
I can't like.
Nobody
Everybody in
came out of
this-
this movie looking good.
Yeah, I'm looking at the cast. I'm like, fuck, man. Like, Jason Fleming
People
is. I guess he was
survive.
already famous, so. You know,
Yeah,
that was pretty much it.
yeah. Is he the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. People's careers survived, but yeah, it didn't. It's like we collectively forgot about it. It just washed over us. It was the Taco Bell of.
Yeah, this didn't launch anybody. This didn't do anything for anyone. It's
Yeah. This is another one of those movies where in my mind I'm always like, ooh, I got to watch that. That's fun. Then you watch it and you're like, right.
It's not fun.
It's not that fun.
Which
Yeah.
is a shame because there's elements.
Because it should be. Look at this damn thing.
Look at
anyway.
this
Yeah.
nonsense.
Next trailer, Finding Nemo. This is from that era of Pixar. It just has to say like, yeah, it's Pixar.
The other
We did Toy Story.
the other big shock of this trailer was them counting down every Pixar movie, and it's like 4 movies.
Yep. But that's what they always did. Like,
Yeah.
they could ride that wave at this era where they're like, we did this, and this. You want to watch this? We're not even going to tell you what it's about. Like, I remember they used to tease things of just like, now we're doing fish.
Mm-hmm. And all
Here
we
they
have
come.
to do is prove, like, here, we got a few jokes about a fish being dumb. Watch
Yep.
the fucking movie, you dummies.
And I think this is a good trailer because I like trailers that are quick little scenes.
Right, it's just like a short scene from the movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, kids' movies used to do this more, I think.
It's a great teaser idea.
Yeah. It's weirdly like the Shining trailer. Like, it's a little vignette. It's just like, here's a quick
It's almost
bit
like the
from the
creative
movie.
team at the time was very good at making stories. And
Yeah.
that's why their first, like, 5 were classics.
It's wild because they don't even justify the name Finding Nemo. When you're watching this, you're like, what does that mean? Like, it's just 2 fish, and one of them's just like trying to get somewhere. That's it.
Yeah. And that's all
They
you
don't
need,
explain
baby.
shit.
Fish, let's go under the sea. That's all we need
Yeah.
to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really all
any
we
other-
needed.
Yeah.
No, this
Yeah.
was a really good one, man. This was one of my favorites for a while.
It's a good film.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while.
It is taught I've read multiple books that cite this as one of the best scripts, like modern scripts ever written.
Yeah.
It's taught in screenwriting classes. Finding
Man.
Nemo is an insane sleeper hit in terms of like critical acclaim. Like it was, it did really well. It was very popular, but like people like almost unanimously were like, yeah, this is, oh my God, this might be the best Pixar. And
You know what's interesting is I feel like part of the secret is they just sort of not ripped off, but they took a note from The Land Before Time. It's very Land Before Time.
Yeah.
Because it's about the A to B searching for someone in this like kind of pit of sadness. Starts with a terrible death by a maniac that doesn't talk.
Mm-hmm.
In this
gives me that
world
same-
of talking animals,
talking-
there's
exactly.
one fucking maniac
Fucking
that doesn't
maniac.
speak.
I love that about both films where you're like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
It's like, they're terrifying.
Like a
But
sharp
it's-
tooth. You're like, what is wrong with that guy?
Yeah, what is his deal? I've always compared Land Before Time to Mad Max for that reason, where it's like he's one of those
It
people.
is
like in
kind of Mad Max.
Yeah, he's like, you just give him like a fucking crazy like metal mask and he doesn't say anything.
Right.
And it's an apocalypse journey to get
like
to safety.
Yeah, and it's like there's freedom and chaos and anarchy, right?
Yeah.
Like the idea that anything goes. I got so many problems that I can't
Right.
worry about if you want to go insane
Just
Right.
walk away.
and
Yeah,
just
and they're
start
all
a fucking
doomed.
cult
The
or
other
something.
thing is we know how it'll end for them
Yeah.
ultimately.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's fucking apocalypse films.
Mhm.
But yeah,
great.
Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo
Great
will
film.
be a period piece in like 15 years, like, or
Mm-hmm.
I think it actually is. There's someone was pointing out on Twitter at one point. They were like saying the coral reefs that they present in the movie no longer exist.
Oh,
That makes
that's a
Finding
shame.
Nemo a fucking period piece.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, it's like the equivalent of like we gotta erase the two towers, the twin towers out of these films.
That's really depressing.
It's really depressing. Support your local ocean, I guess.
Support your local ocean, folks. Even though it doesn't support you,
Support your local planet.
It will.
Yeah.
It will try to destroy you.
it hates you. All right. Legally Blonde 2, Red, White, and Blonde. I haven't seen either of these. They look fine. I had nothing against them.
I've seen the first one. I
I've seen
haven't
the first
this
one, yeah.
Okay. I just like that she's pretty white woman, and they're like, look how hard it is for her.
Yeah.
I know that's a simplistic view of the movie,
It is
but the trailer,
reductive, but it's also not wrong, I guess.
yeah, the trailer like presents it that way. Of like, can you believe this pretty white woman can't make it in Washington? And it's like, yeah, I think she'll be just fine.
I don't know exactly when the year was, but I love that multiple on this list still have that stereotypical trailer that is movie guy. I'm sure you've talked about this before.
Oh yeah, movie guy voice.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
just like it's in America. There's those who make the law and those who make it look good.
I feel like at this
oh,
era,
yeah.
that guy was doing the voice ironically.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It feels like it's usually for It's definitely for comedies, but it's also for some dramas or for action movies
Right.
and stuff.
Much less so at this point, the trailers we covered last week, it was like every trailer was narrated.
Right.
Yeah.
So I wonder when that really was like there was no trailer with the movie guy voice this year.
This is when it's dying out. There's actually a trailer down the line that had a movie guy voice version of it that I'll point out. But and it felt cheesy at the time. I remember watching it and being like, this feels you made it seem worse from this voice, because it is very at this point like,
I think it's South Park
90s.
Like it's the parody age of the early 2000s, late 2000s that really lampooned that trope to the point that people felt like you couldn't do it without it being a joke.
Yeah, without it being like a comedy or a kids film now. Like, I feel like the people who still get that job doing like a Trolls trailer or something where they're doing that parody.
I feel like you can make today in 2023 a movie that utilize that tactic like absolutely for a trailer. It would fucking kill, right?
I think it's just like any other movie trope, right? It's they found that it worked, and then they leaned on it and did it too much until people became aware of it, and then they couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, they couldn't do it anymore.
And then you bring it back ironically or in a retro way. Yeah,
exactly.
Throwback.
It's endless circles, fractals until we die.
Yeah. You think she becomes president?
I hope so.
I hope so.
And then the CIA takes her out for getting too close.
I really want this particular...
too close to the truth.
Yeah.
I want this particular white woman to do well.
It's very funny because this is post 9/11, so I kind of want to know how they deal with that. Like, I wanna see her take on the war on terror.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, we were in Iraq.
Oh, Jesus,
movie.
this is the height.
So I'm like, fuck, man.
This is the height.
Not when it was being made, but yeah.
Oh, that's true. But it's very funny to me because they're like this. She's passing in bills, and they're like, it's pink and scented. And like in the war on terror era, I can see that being a thing that would irritate lawmakers of like, listen, we're deciding whether or not to bomb a country.
She's got to have a monologue at the least, though, is like, this is the land of the free.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff
There's
like
got to be something.
Right?
I hope so.
Yeah. I kind of want to watch just to see just how it tackles
tackles 9/11. It's probably pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Yes. What a good evening to watch Legally Blonde 2.
Speaking of which, Bad Boys 2, another sequel that absolutely has the line since 9/11 in the trailer.
Sure does. Delivered by Henry Rollins.
Yeah. This was such a trope of this era, right? Is they talk about 9/11.
Yeah.
And
this movie ever since 9/11.
In Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes place fucking
9/11 changed everything.
It has the famous Miami sign.
Yeah.
That definitely exists.
Michael Bay definitely didn't build it.
Yeah.
For the movie. But I mean, it was true at the time. Like 9/11 changed everything.
The world.
The small town I had, like, they militarized the cops there in case the terrorists came to that small ass town. So yeah.
But you're right. It's like every action movie for the next 5, 6, 7 years had some sort of reference to
9/11,
how like either they've stepped up their game, or more often than not, it was how the bad guys have stepped up their game to like get around our war on terror. It was great big old trope at the time.
This movie rocks.
Yeah, they couldn't let you forget. That's for sure.
Yeah. It was our duty. It was to never forget, Dave.
I love how the first 2 minutes of this trailer is a basic buddy cop movie.
Yeah.
Like, just scene of action and Martin Lawrence does a joke. Scene of action, Martin Lawrence does a joke. And then the last 30 seconds, it's like Michael Bay just said, shut the fuck up, trailer editor. It's time for me to drive. And
Bad Boys 2 feels a lot like that, too, eh?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. It just becomes suddenly serious. I think there's a line where Martin Lawrence goes, it's my sister. And then literally like the music from The Rock comes in. And we just get that score. And it's just like, pew, pew, it's great.
Such a good fucking movie.
Shit just got real.
This wasn't the better. The better trailer was the one. I remember the first trailer was they just did the Klansman meeting, and then the two Klansmen take off their robes, and it's Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, and it was. I remember like the audience going nuts for that trailer.
Yeah, I remember that one.
You don't know it's Bad Boys 2.
It's a funny scene.
Yeah, and it's a great movie. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too long.
Classic
Technically,
movie.
technically a bottom heavy movie. Like it has 2 third acts, but
Yeah.
we can forgive it
And
because one of those third acts
from a
is awesome.
And from
Yeah.
just a craftsmanship level, holy
They're both
shit.
pretty awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like
Both of them.
I didn't actually, weirdly, I didn't like this movie as much when it came, like when I saw it, when it came out. Like, I like it a lot more than I did when I
Interesting.
first saw it.
So in my opinion, this movie is the only movie on this list. Well, not the only movie actually, but one of the only. It's when we talked about the action of Charlie's Angels and Tomb Raider and what it got wrong. This got right because we're at the height of hubris, and I remember the scene that always stuck out was they show it in the trailer where they're dumping cars on the highway and the cars speeding around them. And I remember people going like, that CGI is so good. How did they do that? Mm-hmm. And the secret, of course, was it wasn't CGI. They made the car spinning through weaving through the crashing cars CGI because that's the one car you're not paying attention to.
Right.
And that's really smart because that's how you actually use CGI.
Yeah, you think
right?
about where
Like
the
that's
eye
the
is.
right way
Yeah.
to do it.
Yep.
Exactly.
And in the height of hubris of CGI that can do everything, Michael Bay at least knew like, no, the stunts should be real.
Yeah.
Keep the stunts real.
You can never, the digital effects can get as good as they want, but you can never take away Michael Bay's need to blow shit up.
Yeah.
Right, because
It will
doing it
win.
all in CGI means he doesn't get to do it on
Exactly, yeah. He's not going to stand for that. It's like the one time where his madman brain is used for good.
There are two
Right.
wolves in Michael Bay, and they both eat cars.
They both want to blow stuff up by any
Michael
means
Bay.
necessary.
set. He's history's greatest monster.
Yeah, it truly
In many
is.
ways.
I salute you. I salute you,
Michael Bay.
Michael Bay.
Should we get to this next one?
Yeah,
More
let's do it.
sequels. So many fucking sequels. Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines.
Ugh. Ugh.
I still maintain
stinker.
that this is the best post T2 sequel. And I know that's controversial. I know I'll get canceled for that and go on Adam Carolla.
Yeah, good. Go where you belong. It's
Yeah.
Here's
insane.
why.
Yeah, okay.
Can I explain
Hit us
why?
with it, baby.
One, there are still stunts in it. And that there are other Terminators that also have stunts, for the record. But this did do a lot more like practical stuff.
Yeah.
Two, it's the only one where Arnold they don't have to explain a reason why Arnold's older.
Mm-hmm.
For the record, they shouldn't have made any after T2, obviously.
No.
How many
And
years was T2?
3
Yeah, sorry.
12 years.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. 3, even though it is kind of not, it's kind of a bummer and it's not the best story, it still felt like a story that someone sat and thought about for a minute that continued the Terminator 2 plot line. And those are my 3 reasons. I would say, obviously, the newest one is pretty fucking badass, too. But at that point, I was so fatigued by Terminator films that I was just like...
I would put that one over this one.
Yeah, I bet when I remove my emotions from it, you're right, you know?
Mm-hmm.
This also was kind of... I remember the first trailer for this was I think it was the T-1000 goo forming a T, and that was it. And that was kind of cool. It's also a shitty robot.
Oh, you
Yeah.
don't like Lady Terminator?
I like.
Well, she's great.
I liked I liked the idea of what she could do, but the design kind of sucked.
See, I liked her. She was terrific,
But when
the
you take her
actress.
skin off. And
What it was that it felt like it was all the T-1000. It was the T-1000 minus... Like, the thing about the T-1000 was it was like, how are you going to fucking beat this guy?
Yeah.
There's literally only one situation. You have to crash into a fucking a factory that's melting down metal. But then taking the T-1000, giving it an exoskeleton, it's like, well, that just makes it weaker.
Yeah.
That like takes away what made the T-1000.
They already took it to 11.
They all
exactly.
they all struggle with that. Like even in Dark Fate, which is the one that I said, which I think is better than 3. Like it's still basically just, well, what if the T-1000 was on a regular Terminator? Because that's all it really is. It's like
Yeah, exactly.
he can make his like metal skeleton come off and make like a little T-1000. So they've been chasing that ever since. Like you're never gonna top that villain. It's great.
You know what?
You're
the
absolutely
only way
right.
just make 2 T-1000s. That's the only way to
Really?
do it.
Honestly,
like
yeah.
an army of them, like at that point, you're absolutely right, because they'd already upped it to such a level that at this point, any Terminator after Terminator 2, in my opinion, is just colored lightsabers. It's like, we already got lightsabers. Oh, yeah, he made his own lightsaber. That has emotional resonance. And then it's like, I don't know, let's do like a yellow one and like a purple one. And it's just like, yeah, who gives a shit at this point? They're lightsabers, So how can you do more than 2?
Yeah.
You'd have to do an army of them, but there's already an army of them kind of hinted at. So you just have to up the stakes and make it more time travel stuff or do something else with it. And at that point, it's not a Terminator movie.
Right. What you actually do is you don't make any more after T2. You just don't make any
There's
more.
a hell of an idea.
And that's... and so it's like it's a shit sandwich judging competition here that we're doing. But my other case for Terminator 3 is that Dark Fate, I get why that has better action and it has some gnarlier scenes and the director is really doing some cool shit. But Terminator 3 was pure of all the like reboot stuff, right? Because like after Terminator 3, they start trying to reinvent stuff. Terminator 3 was like, okay, here's a sequel, we're done. Was it a great sequel? Not really. But then they were like, okay, well, let's do like the war, the future war.
I'll give it.
Nope, nobody went with that.
I'll give it.
McG directed it.
I'll give it to that one for truly trying something different, like Abe was saying.
Yeah,
like they're like, well, we can't do this anymore, obviously, because we're never going to top what T2 was.
Also,
so let's just make the war that everybody's been talking about that we've never seen.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
yes,
make a reimagining, basically.
Yeah.
That's probably the best direction they could have gone.
Right. It's
for
just
sure.
That movie is not good.
But it's every single movie after Terminator 3 is basically a different offer of like, well, should we try this? Should we try that?
You guys like this?
What about that? Let's erase T2 and reboot it. And it's like, no, what are you fucking idiots? And then Dark Fate is the fad of let's bring back the old actors. That was part of that fad that we were doing, right? The Laurie Strode of it all.
Yeah.
So it's like they all kind of glom onto whatever fad of the time they were a part of to try to offer something. And that's why
it's a little like James Bond in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like T3 to me is the only one that felt like they were like, no, let's just make another Terminator with Schwarzenegger and he fights a new fucking robot. And like, let's continue the story in some way. Let's not reboot it. Let's not fucking try to, bring back or do some new gimmick or whatever. So that's why to me it feels like that's when the series, I guess, ends. But at the same time, I mean, it's not a great film. It's kind of a stinker.
Stop making Terminator movies now.
I liked some of the idea. I like that he gets possessed and has to like fight. I thought the ending was a cool, like, dark idea.
I will give it to the ending. That was a ballsy ending for a movie like this.
It's a ballsy ending, yeah.
Wait, you've seen these movies? I thought this was STRIKEcast. We're just doing trailers.
Like it's the only Terminator that does that, right? Because every other Terminator is like, but wait, it's not John Connor after all, or it's not this. Like they keep moving the goalposts, right? Every Terminator movie is part of it is to move the goalposts, which T3 also kind of did. And it all speaks to a movie series that never should have happened.
Yeah.
That's all.
I think we've properly dunked on
all right.
Yeah, really,
should we
really
talk about our
thoroughly.
final trailer?
Yes,
we really
should.
gave it a lashing. What
Thank
for?
you. Final trailer. One last thing. T3.
That'll teach that goddamn T3. It won't hurt anybody ever again.
The one final thing I want to say is T3 was the one that had a announcer trailer. Where the guy went on and went, there's a new Terminator, the TX. Yes. And it was just like, ugh.
It feels like,
it
feels wrong.
Yeah.
It feels wrong. Final one.
Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl.
Wow.
Man.
Now this movie, this fucking new action, like more than Bad Boys 2 even.
This trailer rocks. This movie rocks.
It's a good movie.
It's a good movie.
The movie is insane. Yeah. I have thoughts on this just because it's almost like the shots. Every shot in this trailer is like an instant classic because the shots in this movie are like an instant classic. It develops a world so fucking well. And it's not like the action they're doing. I mean, like in the trailer, at least, because they're not giving you the big set pieces just out of the gate, which
just
is
glimpses of them. Yeah.
Right. And it's not any different from any action adventure trailers that we're seeing from this era or even now, but where just even the establishing just like people chatting and stuff, you see behind them a whole fucking pirate village and shit. You gotta be amped about this movie because it's like it fucking looks like Pirates of the Caribbean, and it's like it's such good world building, and because every shot in the movie is so.
I maybe that's not the right word to say, but I think it's really interesting to watch this trailer because they don't know that it's Captain Jack Sparrow yet, right? They don't know that this character is going to be a huge phenomenon.
But again, that's sort of the benefit.
Right. Well,
I would argue if you put...
Just to finish the thought is, so the trailer doesn't do that sort of annoying, obnoxious thing that a lot of trailers will do where it's like waits for the applause moment when it shows the character, or it, what later trailers would do where it show him being like over the top goofy or something.
Yeah,
it just
Johnny
like
Depp
treats him like
really.
Exactly. Yeah, he wasn't. So this trailer doesn't build him up at all. Really, it just kind of treats him like another character, and he sort of you get the. It's like meeting Han Solo for the first time, or like watching this trailer and then also watching this movie for the first time. You really kind of don't know what he's going to do, right? Like you don't know if he's going to be a good guy or not in the end.
It's like meeting
really
Max Rebo for the first time.
I liked
it was nice to be reminded
ambiguous.
of that. Exactly,
Yeah. I honestly, all the first three movies, I think aren't. I know people get really mad about like the last one. I think all three aren't bad. I think they did a really good system, which is the Matrix system. Make one standalone film. Go, did you guys like this? We can open, like, there's definitely more room for more, and then make a two-parter. And they should have stopped after that, obviously.
Yeah.
But they like money. And I do think there's, like, if you put them all in a graph, they all get gradually worse.
True. I do like the second one.
Well, I was going to say, I think the second one's perfectly fine, and the third one still has its moments as well.
The charm.
That's why they all get gradually worse.
It's diminishing returns is all.
Exactly.
To the point that the last one, I saw the last one for the first time on an airplane because it was like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
And it's sort of that.
Oh,
it's
you
like
mean
a
like
perfect.
The last one, meaning the most recent one?
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, it's sort of a case study of like. This is exactly what goes wrong, right? They made an original. I mean, it's still based off something, but they made a original feeling movie, like with a rich, cool world that everybody liked, and then they just drove it into the ground. They made 3, took a bow, and then said, "Let's make like 3 more."
And
then everybody got sick of it because they didn't know when to stop.
It's almost like we shouldn't make sequels unless it's James Cameron. In the 80s and 90s.
I think these 3 films, I think they did okay. I really like the cliffhangers of the second one. Her betraying Jack Sparrow was a really
good one.
Like they did shit with the characters that, like, you compared it to Star Wars. They do a Star Wars model, right? The second one ends in this really like downer place. So I do think all 3 films deserve to exist. I think were an accomplishment. I just think then they were just like, well, we can certainly make more after this. And it's like, no, you barely got by with the third one. Like the third one, I think, tested people's patience a little bit.
It's more bad than good in my memory. I haven't revisited it in a while.
They escalate. So like the issue, of course, is like, I don't think it's controversial to say the best thing about Pirates of the Caribbean action-wise is the fact that it's all practical. They built real boats. They had real sword fights. The fucking wheel fight in the second one. They did shit that you're like, this is so cool.
Chef's kiss, Dave. Pirate's kiss.
But then by the third, they have
great visual effects stuff, though, going on.
There is.
There is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out, by the way, did you know that did I ever tell you that one of the DPs that we worked with was like one of the, like, he was like middle of the road in terms of the animation group that did all of the zombification stuff.
Oh, nice.
In the movie, and he's like, "Yeah,
that shit looks
I
good.
did that shit."
This is
like,
the
cool.
perfect
It's a cool
balance of
effect.
all that, I thought. Right? It's like we used real sets, real stunts, but we did like out of this world creature design and shit.
Yeah.
It's the best of both worlds.
I agree.
But it escalates to this whirlpool fight. If you remember the third film,
Yeah.
that's almost like all CGI because it has to escalate, right?
Yeah,
And
so
so,
it has
like,
to be bigger, so it has to be CG.
It has to be bigger, and then so they like I can see people going like that was a little too much, but then it ends, and so like again take a bow, but then where do you go from there? Nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just couldn't fucking
This
stop.
is like the perfect era of like action movies have been made to such a like perfected art from all around, like all of the craftspeople who were involved in the explosions, the stunts, the choreography got to work on so many that they were like really good at it and they knew how to do it. So it's in this era of like you get like Mask of Zorro and you get this movie and it's just like they're fucking nailing it, and they're using light CG just to clean up stuff and make things more spectacular. But ultimately, you know, like make backgrounds more epic or whatever. Ultimately, that explosion, that dust cloud was there. And it's just like, it makes it feel right.
Yeah, this is a kind of peak of visual effects a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because they were still doing like Jurassic Park 3, weird thing to reference, had things like still had animatronics and stuff mixed with CGI. They had found the balance, and then they kind of went too far after this.
Yeah, I think they just went too far because the stakes had to be higher. Our insatiable thirst for more death
Right.
and destruction.
Which is funny because I also likened it to the hubris.
Mm-hmm.
This is the height of the hubris because we were already making those mistakes, right? We were already... Because that's the thing is that the movies that did bad here are the ones who thought, oh, we can do everything with CGI. And it was like, no, it didn't look good enough. But these movies like Pirates knew to like, you know, in small doses, do it right.
Exactly.
Spend a little bit, a lot of time on a little bit because otherwise it's going to look like shit.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. That was the secret of Jurassic Park, right? It was only like 13 CGI shots total.
Right.
And they
Yeah.
spent fucking
They seemed
a year on it.
You know, by, you know, throwing everything at it. All the just like, what's the best version of this shot? Okay, well, that's not CG. That's, you know, we just make a puppet.
Right.
The one nitpicky I would have was actually with the trailer, because this trailer, I think tonally is so wrong for this movie. If you go watch the original trailer for Black Pearl, like, it is pitching not a fun action adventure romp.
It sort of disguises that it's funny. There's some
Yeah,
jokes in it.
They
I remember actually...
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, sorry. I remember actually being mad at the movie because I thought I was going in for a horror movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? This isn't a horror movie.
In fact, what's wild to me is that on this trailer, there's so many jokes and so much like joviality in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, and because of Johnny Depp's, you know, performance, they play the line where he gets like the woman comes up to him and slaps him, and then he goes, "I may have deserved that." We all know the line, right? With that scene.
Yeah.
They do it twice in this trailer. Did you notice that? They do it as
they
the
do
bumper.
They
and
do
then
the
it-
previous line.
Yeah, but don't they show the slap itself as a part of the montage of things happening. I just thought it was like they don't do any jokes other than like I don't know. It's
That's
just like
interesting.
they reused the same joke rather than using other sequences where he's even more funny or you know, charismatic.
Right.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, it is the same joke. It just builds on itself in the scene. Like, he gets slapped by one woman and he says, "I'm not sure I deserve
Right.
that." And then he gets slapped by the next woman and he's like,
So it's
I
like
may have deserved that one.
It is a setup and punchline, but
Yeah.
it's just funny that they don't use. That's the only humor in the whole fucking thing. That's one of the part.
They show a scene where Depp is explaining how the zombies work, and he's being kind of jokey in that. But yeah,
You get a
that's-
vibe for who he is, but it's not like
Yeah.
a joke.
Right. It's not
Yeah,
like a
maybe I'm
punchline
wrong
in the
about that.
trailer.
I just thought that it was stuff
Well-
like that made it the trailer not feel tonally like
It's-
No,
consistent.
you're absolutely right. It does downplay it to make it feel like it's just going to have like like a couple of jokes or one-liners like an action thriller tends to have. It really does downplay the fact that there's a lot of comedy in Pirates of the Caribbean.
And the whole movie does this, but I love the progression of like the pirates are scary in this one. Like the guy looking through the fucking at Elizabeth, like, and that shit. And they by the third movie they're like Happy Meal toys, right?
Yeah.
Like it's so funny how that progression happens.
Right. Yeah. It's the
Davy Jones and all his guys are still pretty intense by that third movie.
Right, but
they
have to
for
do
sure,
this thing
but
where
like,
they're like the undead have to be charismatic and fun and cute too.
Yeah, I do think it is jokey. I do think that's part of the problem with the sequels is they are a little too cartoony, right? Like when he's escaping the cannibals, it's just Bugs Bunny shit.
Yeah,
like it became This is definitely above the rest considerably, only because once they realized that Jack Sparrow was the thing, they're like, okay, well, extra Jack Sparrow, really lean on it, really make it like he's boinging around the set, doing crazy shit,
yeah.
Teetering on the side of stuff all the time, and he became a fucking cartoon character after this movie.
Yeah, Looney Tunes. Yeah.
Yeah. Should we talk about news stories? Should we thank some producers first?
Let's do it.
All right. Big thank you to Deborah is awesome. Barbara is great, and cancer can go to hell. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to Dracula the bus driving vampire.
Thank you.
Thank you to Driftless, a.k.a. Goochcock.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you to E.T., the extravagant terresticle.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to Evil Ed 209.
Thank you.
Thank you to Exploding Runes.
Thank you.
Thank you to Funky J Mostly Comes Out at Night Mostly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to Heathcliff's Helping Handfuls.
Thank you.
Thank you to ImpossibleWorlds.net. Read issue 2 and keep sci-fi alive.
Do it.
Thank you to James Cameron's Prolapse Locomotive. Thank you.
Choo. Let me swoop in here. Thank you to Chris Shanovich.
Thank you.
Thank you to Look Mom on a podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mabel. Step on me. Step on me. Thank you to Mackenzie. Fuck shuffling with Willem Dafoe's confusingly large dick. Chill.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mercurial Oz.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mike the Lurker.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mr. Tell Your Wife how many Patreon subscriptions you have before you agree to buy a house.
Thank you.
Thank you to musical guest Rob Ritchie.
Thank you.
Thank you to No One Can Hear You Scream in Space McNulty.
Thank you.
And thank you to Norm from Cheers.
Thank you. Okay. We got some SAG news, some strike news. This is STRIKEcast after all.
STRIKEcast.
There's a bit of not controversy. There's a bit of a debate against around these exemptions for indie films. Viola Davis and Sarah Silverman, I believe, are the two people who kind of spoke up. Viola Davis could have continued filming this indie film she's working on. And Abe, you're in it, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like the debate is on one side they're saying, these movies will end up going to big companies for distribution, right? Like you're filming these indie things, but they become a bidding war, and so it gives these an advantage, and it also makes it so that the companies don't feel the heat of the strike. That's what people like Viola Davis is saying. On the other side, they're saying a couple things, which is one, that the bidding wars actually don't happen until the strike is over. Mm-hmm. So that's actually an important thing to know, is that it still gives them kind of an advantage because the movie's already done, but they would only be selling these for distribution after the strike. And also SAG argues that it shows the bigger studios that they're showing that they're reasonable, right? They're saying like, look, we don't want to punish the indie world. We're showing that like if an indie film actually agrees to our terms, we don't have a problem with them.
Right. Yeah.
I do see both sides of this. I'm a moderate here.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I kind of feel the same way, so I'm interested to hear what Abe has to say.
Yeah, so like I guess I have a slightly different take just because like I'm kind of moderate, or like I feel like that's a good That's a good standpoint, but like for a lot of people to be, because like as long as you're supporting the strike, I think you're doing the right thing. You know what I mean? And so
Yes,
Davis is definitely saying, and you know, just to clarify, I think your rundown was kind of right, but it's just the idea that if you are supporting, like the goal of any movies, any indie movie or you know, like a larger one, the ones that she kind of mentions is like A24 got a lot of exemptions and kind of a like cutout. You know, like Mel Gibson's new movie kind of got a cutout as well, because and we're unsure of exactly why, but this was a negotiation between SAG-AFTRA and the AMPTP, which is basically that's who we're kind of against at this point, right?
The filmmakers behind The Vast of Night, their movie has gotten a green light to keep going.
Right, and these are and not all movies are equal. Some of them have 5 million budgets, some of them have 10 million budgets. You know, some of them have, you know, like the movie that I'm currently making with Michael Swaim, which is a feature that's just completed its crowdfunding in June and has been ramping up pre-production ever since. And we were hoping initially to like kind of shoot by the end of the year, and we've seen it kind of like a go for broke for us, right? So a lot is riding on this feature, and we haven't talked to anyone who's remotely close to the AMPTP. So we're so far out of the circle of Hollywood that we're not really on the radar at all. But we're hopeful that we could cast someone of note that might raise our budget in the eyes of the investors. Now, here's where it gets tricky, because Davis came out and kind of said, and I still feel rightfully so, I think her point is very well spoken, is that like you need to kind of say no to all of it. It's a very kind of binary system. So even if you're an ultra low budget like our movie is, which is under $700K, you know, kind of thing. And that's like literally a distinction that is made by, you know, companies when they say like, what kind of movie are you making? It's ultra low budget, you know, it's like so small. Those people are getting punished too. Now, the reason that exemptions exist really comes down to the concept of like, there's more people affected by the strike than like career-wise, just getting a job, having a job. You know, like right now, the grips and the electrics and the, you know, like sound mixers, they all can't. Whereas writers can be writing scripts right now and just being actively not selling them in order to make the strike work. The sound mixers aren't on strike. They're not getting any benefit from this at all. So all they have is a work stoppage. And so they're like, okay, so SAG-AFTRA knows this. They're, you know, not without empathy. And so they're like, even though we have this, you know, insurmountable goal, we're still going to cut out some stuff so that like really small indies can work. And Viola Davis is kind of saying even that we should not be doing that. And I think I see your point. It just scares me because I'm making a small movie, and I'm like, we were already up against the system, man. We haven't even talked to anybody. We're just trying to make a movie, and now we're just like,
I'm not going to speak for Viola Davis, but I feel like if you went to her and explained it, she'd be like, oh yeah, you're fine.
Maybe. Like, I don't know.
I do think so. The point of a strike, right? A labor strike like this is to, you know, cut off a supply line.
Right.
Is to say no more. You don't get any more of us until you meet our demands, period. And so I guess it's a question of what is the most effective way to do that. Like for the WGA stuff, I'm not in the WGA, but obviously I'm not going to scab or anything. But I am like talking to people who've made movies about planning stuff. But obviously they're not big studios or anything. It's all still very small.
Right.
And it's like, I don't think there's anything wrong with like creatives planning movies together, obviously, right? Like that's not even in a blurry place.
Right.
But then it's like, all right, but what if you're Matthew McConaughey? Suddenly you're not just a creative, right?
Yeah.
You're a big money draw. You are part of that that pipeline going to the studios. So I can see why some of these indie films is kind of missing the point.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, well, you're basically making a big film at this point.
Yeah, I don't think...
and like, yes, it's not going to the studio, but it will, and it is part of that, and so the studio will get that, and you're not... But it is like this kind of a blurred line that gets less blurred the smaller budget it gets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it also doesn't factor in the structure of how like kind of budgets work in Hollywood in terms of not like how making a budget works, but like what are the laid out. You have the $200 million pictures. Obviously those ones. You have the $100 million. Obviously. You have the $30 million. Very rare. They still exist. Those ones are also no. But when we start getting in the $15 million territory, the $20 million territory, this is where like well-known companies like A24 thrive. And it's like, if they're getting exemptions, like just because we're not a part of the system, does that mean we should suffer even more so? So it's this very kind of gray issue. I think
it's a system where, like, can you even apply for exemptions? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel weird about it. I feel bad about it. I'm very scared.
It's sort of, we talked about this with the digital stuff as well, where it's like, certain, like, internet isn't even on the radars, and they're very broad about stuff where they're like, no influencers, and it's like, well, when do you become an influencer? When does that define you? Like Mr. Beast, yeah, that makes sense. Although, for the record, he claims that he is, because Mr. Beast got in trouble for crossing the picket line. That's why I brought him up before. Yeah. But he claims that it was a deal he made before the strike that he has to fulfill, which would exempt him from it. But I don't know. I'm not keeping up with Mr. Beast news.
Yeah, you
Point
are.
being that like it's all this kind of blurry line thanks to the internet, which is like, what does it mean to be an influencer? It's how many people have to follow you for that, and what does it mean to be an indie film? At this
where's
point,
content generated from? And that is the basic question at the heart of the strike: is the people that like who makes the content, who's the engine, where does it start, and those people should be paid, properly. Yes, so I think that while I'm saying stuff like it's a gray issue, and I have a dog in this fight a little bit, and I'm sure some of your listeners might be like, oh, shut up, it's not that complex of a moral issue, you shouldn't be a part of the problem, just don't make your movie. I get it. I'm not like a victim here, but I'm also not a part of the union, and I don't think the idea of trying to stretch and be like, hey, maybe someone who has a little bit more notoriety could be in my stupid little movie. Maybe I should try to at least reach for that and not be like blacklisted. So I'm terrified of that. But at the same time, obviously the priority is, because I hope to one day be a part of the WGA. I hope to one day be a part of a union like that, who really protects its people. You need to solidarities first and foremost. So it's tough to deal with the Davis story just because it's like, I want to just be able to be like one united front, but I do see the validity in what she's saying. Absolutely. Right.
That's part of the critique, I feel like, with her and Sarah Silverman. I don't want to put words in their mouth, but part of it's like solidarity. All right. We're drawing a line, except for you guys. And then it's like, wait, what? So where's the line? Like that's been my criticism this whole time with the messaging, which is like, it's like really hard because it's like we all want to support it. We all, again, everybody, Viola Davis, Sarah Silverman, they've all definitely said like, listen, we all want the same goal. We're all on the same side.
Right.
And the point is to fight them more than we fight amongst ourselves. So it shouldn't be seen as like infighting, because it doesn't feel like that, to be honest. It feels more like this discussion that's happening where it's like, well, if we want to keep this hard line, then why, the exemptions make it confusing, right? And then the world of, digital content creators, I guess is what they would be called, like where do they fall in line? And like you said, that's the whole point of the strike at the same time. So it's like, it's just interesting how much more complicated this is now versus the last strike.
Because when you turn on the lights in the decrepit room that the studios have been built, all the cockroaches scatter. And so you see all the problems, all the holes in the walls. And you need and you kind of want to be like, oh, that should be fixed too. And that needs to be fixed. So it's a lot. It's a lot. And a lot of people, if you follow the strike, have been talking about this and the lack of binary there, but also there needs to be solidarity and there needs to be a push. So that's why I think we should lobby to be like SAG-AFTRA, be very let's be a little bit more discerning in the movies that we choose here. Let's not be doing deals just because it employs the right people. let's really just support the lowest of the low.
It's hard because people like what they do. So like there was that bus driver strike, I forget what country it was out of, where they talked about how instead of not working, they just didn't charge everybody to go on the bus, because that accomplishes the same thing, right? It cuts off the money. Yeah. Is really what, but you can't do that in this industry. No. And that's the problem, is people love making movies. So like strikes, that's what the studios are also betting on, right? They're like, oh, they'll want to keep making stuff. Exactly. And it's true. And you need money to make stuff, and they have the money. And so that's the dilemma.
So we'll keep watching and we'll keep listening, and whatever they say officially, we're going to do. I just think about the last 3 years of working very hard on this thing, and then right when we're about like, all right, and go, and then someone fires the starting pistol right before, and we're like, oh, maybe not. All right, everyone hold up.
All right.
Because there's so much is riding on it. So it's a unique experience. And I really do think we should be listening to all these people.
Yeah. Tom, you have any thoughts?
No.
Let's talk about Donald Glover. Donald Glover has taken over as the writer of the Lando show.
Sure.
I don't think, because of all the things we just said, I don't think he's like doing anything right now.
Probably not.
But I just thought this was interesting that there is a Lando show still. And I feel like what happened is all the Lucasfilm stuff is so tied up and they don't know what to do, that I feel like they're just like, all right, Donald,
they're gonna like
fucking
wipe
do it.
everything and start over again.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like they just fucking hit the reset button.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, this could be good when it eventually happens. It's just, I can't believe how Star Wars, how they're just like, they have no fucking clue what to do.
Right, it's become this television show now.
Yeah.
It's a meme. It's a fucking meme. One of the greatest franchises and bankable IPs of all time is twiddling its thumbs going, it's too big, it has to fail. Big. Like there's nothing we can do. We don't know who to please. We don't know what is the smart choice. And it's so funny because you just go online and it really is a testament to how much love is in this, like in Star Wars, where it's just like everyone has the answer. This is what you do.
Mm-hmm.
I told you guys I have a Star Wars movie pitch.
Yeah, you got the answer.
Yeah, lay it on me.
Yeah. All right. So it takes place, I believe, between the original films and the new ones. It'd be the We're Hunting Jedi era. And you guys know some of this, but I've really fleshed it out. It would be a pod racing film.
Oh yeah, you did tell me
about a young, kind of a Luke Skywalker type who's a pod racer on Tatooine, who wants to make it big, and then the villain is another racer who he realizes has the Force. So the villain is actually using the Force to win races. So it's this normal schmo who has to fight. But then the added idea is the Empire shows up to like watch the pod racing. Like perhaps Vader even is in the audience. He used to pod race. And so he's caught with this dilemma of like he could turn in his rival easily. Because his rival is like a Jedi, essentially. He could turn in his rival, but he doesn't want to. So there's like this cool added idea of like still fuck the Empire, but also fuck you. So like the villain is kind of like the villain is a Jedi who's an asshole, but he's not going to turn him into the Empire. I think that'd be a good little drama there.
Man. It's beautiful.
Wouldn't it? And he has to fucking race against
and he has to win. He has to win.
He has to win against the Force sensitive racer.
I was listening so intently because I was so sure you were doing a bit.
No,
but it's a good movie.
I was like trying to figure out, okay, what movie is this? I know he's doing some bullshit.
What's your angle, fucker? Yeah.
No, I know he's just going to describe the fugitive in the Star Wars universe.
Good standalone pod racing film.
It's just going to describe Phantom Menace.
Yeah, no, I like that's not bad. That's not bad. I think
it's like Seabiscuit. It's a horse race movie, but with pod
I think Vader. Vader would sense the Force, so that's a screenwriting hurdle.
You could do a thing where they have to like he helps him. He like wins the race and then has to help him escape Vader or something. The Vader is to make the executives get hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, get right.
He takes the bugs out.
ideally there wouldn't be a single legacy character in it, but it's like, you want to stick something in there for people, so you can do that.
For all the Vader heads.
All them Vader heads out there.
You gotta make the fucking Sebulba origin movie, you fucking cowards.
Yeah.
Oh, did you guys hear that
No.
Dexter Jetster is getting a short story? Like he's getting
He's
getting
Short
canon
story?
in the new they have an anthology of short stories that Star Wars
Make it a long
puts out,
story.
and Dexter Jetster has a
No, man.
I hope
more
it involves
Dexter
his whole
Jetster to
family
tell.
I
dying.
didn't hear that news.
yeah look it up.
Sweet.
Cool.
Short story.
Did you hear the news?
I want to read about him burning down his 1950s diner for
Yeah,
insurance
why
money.
does he love
Yeah.
the 50s so much?
Yeah, why does he know about the American
what if it's a time
1950s?
travel? What if he time traveled to the future? I guess the 1950s.
Was he always fat, or did he just let himself go?
I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Might be
We don't know what
species.
happened in his life.
I need to
Yeah.
know.
Final story is just that fucking HBO Max, after the rebranding, lost 1.8 million subscribers because, of course,
Good
it
for
did.
them.
You turned into Max, you idiots.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't even like. I'm not even happy about it. I'm just like, yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah, they're gonna have
You
to sell
jackasses.
soon, man. They're gonna.
Maybe you need to get rid of the person in charge.
Also today, Zaslav said like, "Oh, we saved $100 million last quarter because of the strike."
Right.
It's like,
Because again, it's
yeah,
all
man.
monster.
It's
You
all fucking
saved
numbers on a
$100 million.
sheet.
You sure did.
Spin it until you fucking die.
But it is because like all he has to do is like, a bunch of business schools just look at a spreadsheet and go like, oh, this looks like you did good because this number went up and this number went down, so we're good. And it's ridiculous the things they can say are a win because of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's all
it's
it is.
kind of like how
Yeah.
sometimes like climate change is presented, like with people like, "Ooh, it's not all that bad." It's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
the numbers are actually we're doing better.
Yeah.
No,
Cool. Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah.
warmer.
It's July, the hottest month
That's
in the
right.
history of the world.
yeah.
In recorded history. Hottest month, July
No,
2023.
It's actually natural. You see?
We're doing fine.
Yeah.
yeah. Spin it, baby.
Should we think some? What's that?
Nothing. Let's
All
do
right.
it.
Let's thank
Thanks
some
some more
people.
producers.
Yeah.
Big old sloppy thank you to Pete for Pagel. Thank you.
Big wet thanks.
Thank you to Numino Ultra Microscopic Silico Volcano Coniosis Anti-Disestablishmentarianism Jones. Thank you.
Try thanks.
Thank you to pre-order TikTok superstar Jason Pargin's new book, Zoe is Too Drunk for This Dystopia. Pre-orders are super important.
Thank you.
Thank you to Rev MD.
Thank you.
Thank you to Ricky Cilantro.
Big old thank you.
Thank you to Rosemary's Baby from Eraserhead.
Thank you.
Thank you to Screaming Horse Pyramid.
Thank you.
Thank you to Sorry Cop, world's most laughable centrist.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to Steven.
Thank you.
Thank you to the conveniently placed self-destruct button on the top of every baby's head.
Thank you.
Thank you to the Midnight Patron with patrons at midnight.
Yeah,
Thank
baby,
you.
yeah. Let me swoop in here. Thank you to the Oatmeal Savage.
Thank
Thank you to the producer formerly known as the Ghost of Dave Thomas.
Thank you.
Thank you to the To-Be Terror Bunny demands you enter the ninja with Franco Nero.
Thank you.
Thank you to these 7 Bs.
Thank you.
Thank you to Tiger George Pratt Thompson. Raindrops keep falling on my head.
Thank you.
Thank you to Tip Drizzle.
Thank you.
Thank you to Tux.
Tux.
Thank you to Vincent.
Thank you.
Thank you to Why Don't You Take a Flying Fuck at the Moon?
Thank you.
Thank you to your mom.
Yes.
And thank you to Zzz, because Pie Guy liked being last.
Thanks. Thanks.
Dave.
Thanks.
Dave.
Yeah. What?
In the interest of uplifting some small productions that are just trying to get seen in the midst of all this AM whatever the acronym is, in the midst of all that all that corporate greed.
Yep.
Do you have a movie that deserves more hype?
Oh, you know I do.
Dave, you blessed freedom fighter.
Yeah. This is my pod racing Star Wars movie.
Seriously,
No, this is-
it deserves more hype.
Deserves more hype. No, this is a little movie called Our Father the Devil. It is not a horror movie. Well, it's kind of a horror movie, but it's not a supernatural movie. This is coming out August 25th on VOD, and I believe some limited theatrical runs. You kids like Death in the Maiden much? Everybody loves Death in the Maiden.
Yep.
Oh man.
That's kind of this, which is to say it's bleak as shit. It takes place in a French village, a woman working at a retirement home, and there's a new priest in town. Sorry, I'm telling this wrong. She also has a past of trauma. We're not sure which. She comes from a village where it's very clear they were all murdered. Something horrible happened in this village. And then there's a new priest who arrives at this retirement home, and she immediately passes out at the sight of him. And of course, she recognizes him. This is why this is kind of Death in the Maiden. So she's pretty sure this guy has committed some atrocities. So she fucking kidnaps his ass and is gonna do the tortures. It's a revenge thriller, but it feels like it follows like your like Old Boys, where like what the reviews. It has a handful of reviews, but they're all very good reviews. They're saying that they don't actually show much violence. It's not about being like, look how cool it is that she's getting revenge. It's more about the horrors of the situation right. And her dealing with the trauma that she went through and the brutality of what she's doing now. And so that's kind of what it is. It's Kill Bill, but like indie and like, serious, where it's actually going into
kind of hard candy.
Hard candy it was compared to. And so, that's it. It looks fucking brutal in the very real way, in a way that's probably pretty fucking intense. But good. I think it looks good. What do you guys think?
Yeah. It looks intense. It also reminds me of that that movie we covered on Hypecast. It's probably been 2 years ago now, but it was like Noomi Rapace and Joel Kinnaman, where she thinks he's a concentration camp guard and has him locked in her basement.
What is that?
Yeah,
called?
there's
Secrets We Keep. Is that it?
Maybe this is kind of a low key genre, which is dealing with the consequences of like trauma, and like that, and like there's always this weird gaslighty element, which is like, is it actually them, or are they,
right?
Or is it their trauma getting the best of them,
right?
And they usually answer that. Death in the Maiden does pretty good with that, despite who made it.
But Death in the Maiden's based on a play, so
it's based on a play, and then it's mostly the actors involved: Ben Kingsley and Jamie Lee Curtis,
Sigourney Weaver.
Oh, you're right. That is Sigourney Weaver. Yeah. That makes more sense, honestly.
Yeah, I got big.
Although now I kind of want. No, sorry. What are you gonna say, Abe?
No, I got big. I agree with your Death and the Maiden vibes. Also, kind of gave me like Let the Right One In vibes.
No,
even though that's like obviously goes full on like vampires, but this one definitely, it's like there's a sense of dread constantly, and that's one of the things that I really like when I saw the trailer. I really reacted to, because like it shows in like the first 45 seconds of the trailer, here's a woman who's completely decimated by trauma pulling out a knife on the street when she thinks she's being followed, and then realizing that like, oh no, that guy wasn't following you, and she immediately goes sorry, and then she has like facial tics of just like looking around the room just to like kind of like a prey animal, and like just the sheer happiness on her face when her dish is complimented. This all happens in like 45 seconds, and it's just hitting like trauma from several angles in a very like seemingly complex and more fully robust way, and it's doing it clearly and quickly achieved in a fucking trailer. The storytelling seems very cool.
Yeah, it looks really well made. I believe it's the director's first film. I'm pretty sure, first feature at least. And yeah, again, it's getting a lot of positive reviews. So it was also made a few years ago. And I think it's been out, and I think it's been out in other places. This is the American release.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, at least it has like 2021 behind it. And yeah, the director, it looks like, has only made short films. So this is, her first feature.
Cool.
So that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
looking
it just
forward to
looks
it.
fucking good. Yeah, check out the trailer, folks. Obviously, all the trigger warnings. It just looks generally intense.
Yeah.
So, be prepared for that. But it's when you know like gritty, grounded revenge drama, you kind of know what to expect there. We have a lot of those now. And I mean in terms of like the amount of intensity.
Yeah,
So yeah,
for
check
sure.
it out.
Hype.
Cool.
Hype,
Well-
hype.
Man,
Hype.
guys, that's another successful STRIKEcast. We've done it.
STRIKEcast.
Classic show that we've always done. Abe, thank you so much for being on.
Hey, thanks for having me,
Hey,
man.
thank you. You want to plug some stuff? You want to say some stuff to the world?
You heard me earlier, Small Beans, patreon.com/Small Beans. Come check it out.
Cool. You want to make a noise? You want to go? Okay, cool. Cool.
Did we ever tell them what year it was? It was 2003. This was
That was the
August of.
theme.
Was it July or August of 2003?
It's still July. We're still in
July
July.
of 2003. All right, that's
Yeah.
what it was.
Hot damn.
Yep.
What a list.
These are
What a
the
list.
top 10 films of July 2003 in the United
Yep.
States.
So give yourself a point if you got that correct.
Yeah, keep score
We-
throughout the duration of STRIKEcast. We'll see how many points you get.
We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed, GAMEFULLY, unemployed. We do stuff with the beans.
Yeah,
with the
We do. We
testicles.
play with the small
do,
beans. We
Yeah.
We pay attention to the small beans.
Star
Yeah.
Trek The Next Futurama and Spielboys are both joint productions with them. We also have Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Fox Mulder's a Maniac. We watch movies every Friday night with our patrons. We started watching TV a bit, and I think we're going to keep doing that because it's fun and chill. So come join us every Friday night. It's a Patreon tier. We sit around and we watch stuff together like a family. And you can
Yeah.
be part of that family.
Abe's there sometimes.
I
Yeah,
am
we're a big
most
family.
times because I can't stop watching movies. It's
Yep.
it's a medical
You
problem.
are Professor Movies. He is Dr. Movies.
Yeah. And you guys do that every Monday, which I've been trying to join more and more and be part of
Thank
that.
you for being
that's
a part
right,
of that. Yeah. We
Two
d-
glorious families.
we do little bite size because it's Monday, so we want to start your week. So we start a little
Yeah.
earlier, do fewer movies, but it's still the same energy.
family.
We
We're
also
family.
we are. We're a
Family.
family of small
It
beans.
means we can't fuck each other.
Why
Well,
not?
That's what that means.
says you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
We also have a store. Head over to gamefullyunemployed.com where you can find a link to our Teespring store. We have all kinds of cool original artwork and designs you get on t-shirts, mugs, stickers, posters, all sorts of things. So check that out. Slap your small peepers onto that.
Yeah,
Small
do
peeps.
Small beans.
All right.
Love it. Hype.
it. Hype.
Say goodbye,
Say
everyone.
goodbye. Bye.
Bye. Our music is produced by Chris Corlew. You can follow him on Twitter at @thecorlew, CORLEW, and find more music at shipwreckedsailor.bandcamp.com. Our channel artwork is produced by Michael Vincent Bramley. You can find more of his artwork at instagram.com/mvbramleyart. Our episode artwork is produced by Justin Brown. You can follow him on Twitter at Justin T. Brown and find more of his artwork at artnessbyjustinbrown.com and justinbrown.info.